धन्यवाद स्पीकर महोदय। प्रधानमंत्री जी श्री रमुका, हमारे अन्य साथीगण, मिनिस्टर हैं इस तरफ जो बैठे हुए, और हमारे विरोधी दल के नेता और उनके साथीगण, आप सभी का मैं अभिनंदन करता हूँ कि आप सब संसद में आकर, और ख़ास करके हमारे फॉरेन अफेयर्स का जो मंत्री आया इंडिया से, और आज ये बड़ा इत्तेफाक की बात है कि जब हमारे डिप्टी प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कहा था कि हिंदू का जो कॉन्फ्रेंस चल रहा है इज़ अ वेरी गुड कोइंसिडेंस ये देश के लिए। और मैं गर्व के साथ कहना चाहता हूँ कि आज हम हिंदुस्तानी लैंग्वेज में इस संसद में बात कर सकते हैं। स्पीकर महोदय, अध्यक्ष महोदय, अपनी भाषा, अपनी पहचान और अपनी संस्कृति का सम्मान करते हुए, और साथ ही 16 साल के बाद यह सदन में भाषा की स्वतंत्रता को एक बार फिर से लागू होने पर मैं अपने पहला भाषण का आरंभ अपनी मातृभाषा हिंदी में करना चाहूँगा। अध्यक्ष महोदय, इस अवसर पर उन तमाम पूर्वजों को मैं याद करता हूँ और धन्यवाद करता हूँ जिन्होंने गिरमिट के समय में अत्याचार और कष्ट सहते भी हुए अपने पहचान को मिटने नहीं दिया। खास करके मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ हमारी महिला पूर्वजों को, जो शक्ति बनकर खड़ी रही और न केवल परिवार और संस्कृति को संभाला, बल्कि खेतों में काम करते भी देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी भारी योगदान दिया। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं अपने पिता की ओर से मैं दूसरी पीढ़ी का संतान हूँ, और मेरा माता की ओर से मैं चौथी पीढ़ी का गिरमिटिया वंशी हूँ। मैं केवल एक सफल व्यापारी नहीं हूँ, बल्कि मैं एक सफल गन्ने का किसान भी हूँ। जिस व्यवसाय को बनाने के लिए हमारे पूर्वजों को बंधुआ मजदूर बनाकर फिजी में लाया गया था, मैं उसी व्यवसाय का मंत्री के रूप से आज आपके सामने खड़ा हूँ। और मेरा यह आश्वासन है कि मैं इस व्यवसाय को जिससे हजारों लोगों की जीविका जुड़ी हुई है, इसको बचाने में और बेहतर बनाने में मैं कोई कमी नहीं रखूँगा। Now I will continue in English. Mr. Speaker said, I start by paying my deepest respect to all our people of our land and the many cultures that we share, the elders of our past, present, and those emerging who have laid or will lay the future foundations of Fiji. Without their pioneering sacrifices, efforts, none of us would have seen the prosperity, progress, nor experience of freedoms and the dignity that we now rightfully demand and deserve. Allow me to thank our President, His Excellency Ratu William Katnivere, for his most gracious address during the opening of this Parliament. His Excellency is like a brother to me, and I repeat, His Excellency is like a brother to me, given our strong Bandhutan links and my intimate association with his late father, Ratu Soso Katnivere. Ratu Soso Katnivere was a distinguished chief and an extraordinary mana and stature. And of course, he was an NFP senator and member of parliament, which Honorable Biman reminds me of. Let me also put on record the sense of widespread hate, insult, and anger felt by our people in all parts of Fiji at the manner our president was attacked by the leader of opposition. It was totally uncalled for and unjustified. It was deeply offensive, disrespectful, personal, and even dangerously insightful. People from all over the country have expressed a strong condemnation. Not only has he demeaned himself personally, but also called into question the integrity of the head of state. His outburst should be unanimously condemned by the Honourable House. We should never condone such a continuous denigration of our centuries of old tradition of the parliamentary protocol, propriety, and decency. Mr. Speaker, let me congratulate you and your deputy on your election in these key roles. Given our one-more connection of the country, you are also my High Chief. Let me assure you, your command shall always be my duty to fulfill, and my loyalty, your right to expect. Your sense of justice, dignity, humility, integrity, experience, knowledge, and the good judgment will, no doubt, usher a fresh dose of fairness, tolerance, respect for each other, and a greater order of conduct in this august House, something that has often been missing during many critical times in the last 16 years. The example of a power, the power of example, shall be a continuing source of inspiration to all of us. On a personal level, may I also point out that in you, I also have the privilege of a father. Like many others, I have a complete faith and trust in your wisdom and rely on you as a source of good counsel, guidance, and advice. My late parents, Mr. and Mrs. Charan Jeath Singh, believed that it was right and duty of every parent to discipline the children, and when necessary. That right, I gladly and respectfully confer upon you. Mr. Speaker, Adarsh Mode, whilst I'm a proud son of Fiji, I cannot hide my regional bias towards my island of Vanuatu. In that respect, I wish to most sincerely thank the voters of this region who vested their confidence and trust in me and considered me worthy of their representation. 91% of my votes came from the north. For that, I wish to thank you, and I will always cherish the moment. I will always cherish the moment when you said in Lambasa at the rally of People's Alliance, and I quote, "Don't vote for me, vote for 245, vote for Charan Jeath Singh." And that word, has landed me in Parliament. Milaka. Unquote. I also thank my Vanua, my thousands of Itoki brothers and sisters, the chiefs, the villages, Matagalis, my legion of devoted campaigners and the supporters. My victory belongs more to them than to me. I shall always endeavor to reciprocate their trust. Mr. Speaker, Adarsh Mode, His Excellency, our Venerable President, has very eloquently outlined the priorities and policies of our coalition government, of which I am a proud member. His Excellency has rightfully alluded to many challenges and headwinds that lie ahead of our government and our people. It's the absolute need for unity and cooperation of everybody if we are to tackle them. Despite the childish and petty refusal by the opposition to accept the verdict of our people, the nation takes a great comfort and strength from the reassurance and the endorsement of His Excellency in a democratic process, and I quote him. And what Excellency says, "I am grateful to note that the change in government has taken place peacefully and swiftly, and the new administration has commenced its work with a mandate of the people." Unquote. Mr. Speaker, that mandate and the popular support that His Excellency refers to is the cornerstone of a true democracy. Accordingly, there should be no doubt in the mind of anybody as to the legitimacy of our mandate. Power sharing between our three parties may be a novelty of our country, but it's perfectly legal and constitutional. Such a model of governance, power sharing, is a most appropriate prescription of a diverse nation, and it has been successfully tested in UK, Australia, New Zealand, Italy, Israel, and our island neighbors. It promotes greater consultation, consensus, tolerance of others' needs, transparency, accountability, protection of rights of the minority, and ultimately foster the greater cohesion and the stronger pillars of our nationhood. We are not here just to warm our seats, Mr. Speaker, or we are not here just to warm our seats or to collect our pay and advance our own personal agenda for self-enrichment power and privileges. We are not here, Mr. Speaker said, to scam the poor taxpayers through corruption, nepotism, promotion of sector policies that favor the minority at the expense of the poor. High cost of living, unemployment, rampant corruption, low income, and collapsing of health, housing, education, sanitation, and water, road and infrastructure are near terminal sugar industry, all need immediate attention. We are starting just not from zero base, but from an abyss of unprecedented debts, years of chronic physical mismanagement and economic carnage of the last 16 years. Undoubtedly, the entire government apparatus was rotten to the core, which worsened by the populist policies that were adopted primarily to gain political capital. Masking the true state of the key sectors, such as sugar industry, has become a norm. Without a shadow of doubt, we are reaching to the edge of tipping point. But let me assure our fellow citizens, we will be very forthright and work strenuously, decisively, to build and bolster our social economic pillars. Our approach is bottom up and people centered and not bottom down or bottom of imposition. We are here to serve, not to be served. We are here to be directed by people, not to dictate them. We are here to listen and learn, not to lecture from the prisms of arrogance and bigotry. We will make sure, Adhyaksh Mahoday, Mr. Speaker said, we will make sure what I say, we will do it. Say, my conscious decision to return to the House after 23 years. Indeed, as I look around, I can say I am the only member of this House who has previously been in Parliament with our current Prime Minister. Both of us were in Parliament together between 1994 to 1999. So, although on the different sides of the political aisles. Together, hundreds of thousands of our people of all ethnic communities, from the rural, poor, and urban, the struggling farmers, the workers, the middle class, those trapped in poverty, the unemployed, the low paid, and thousands suffering from lack of basic health, housing, education, water, and sanitation facilities. I have seen the whole betrayal of this in the last 16 years. In the face of their glaring incompetence, failures, reckless mismanagement of the country, none of us can afford to sit on the sidelines and contribute to the immediate recovery and turnaround. Our country and our people need to be rescued from this crisis and the carnage caused by the side of that side of the House. The sheer magnitude, the crippling nature of challenge compels us all to join hands and work in a unified, inclusive, forward-looking manner for a common good for our beloved nation. Mr. Speaker said, Adhyaksh Mahoday, I took as my foremost duty and moral responsibility to offer my energy and resources to save this nation from drowning further in the fatal vortex of debts, distress inflicted by one man's ignorance or evasive sense of self-importance. The pace at which the national debt was building is certainly dreadful. The past government's development model was an utter failure, as borrowing was employed as a main driver of a fuel economic growth in a physical stabilization, which logically is not sustainable at all, bending Fiji's population. And in the current, and yet to the current and the yet to be born with loads of debts. Say, I'm thankful to our PM for the faith and trust he's placed in me as Minister for Sugar and Multi-Ethnic Affairs. I may be the first sugar minister who is an experienced cane farmer. Also, but I will not stop listening and learning from the 12,000 cane farmers representing the industry. Just to give you a scale of degradation of once glorious industry and our main economic lifeline, let me share some key statistics. Our cane production has declined by half from 3.2 million to 3.2 million tons in 2006 to about 1.7 million today. For the last 14 years, from 2006, the accumulated loss of FSC has been about 500 million. The number of farmers has declined from 18,600 to 12,000. It has lost its prominence economic position down to about 4% of the GDP. Under the sleeping minister, it has been treated like an orphan child, and the exodus continues. Under his watch, the key institutions of industry such as Sugar Cane Growers Council, Sugar Commission have been dismantled without any consultation with any party. On milling efficiencies, farming practices, income, employee welfare, transport infrastructure, mill machinery, all have run to the ground. With a sugar minister who said, as I said, was sleeping on the job and was unaware of his responsibilities. His glaring incompetence, mismanagement has destroyed once a beacon of our economy for 150 years to a pathetic, unrecognizable shadow of his past. The industry suffers from a massive loss of confidence, cloaked in a maze of lies and recklessness. This man, in 2009, rejected. It's very important to know that. The leader of opposition rejected the EU offer of 300 million only because he would not commit perfectly to an achievable timetable for holding a democratic election. For him and his advisors, the continuation of his dictatorship was worth more than the large sum of money to help our farmers and industry. All this happened while the senior executives treated themselves with an obscene salaries, benefits, and corrupt conflict of interest. To all of them, the sleeping minister had only one answer: ongoing investigation. However, we are determined to restore the industry in the fullness of time with the cooperation and goodwill of the stakeholders. अब समय आ गया है अध्यक्ष महोदय कि हम सब मिलकर इस देश को प्रशांत का स्वर्ग बनाएं. This time has come, Mr. Speaker, that together we will make this country a paradise of the Pacific. In conclusion, Speaker Mode, I send my warm greetings and shubkamnae, best wishes to all our people and assure them of our best efforts to govern in the interest of just not selected few, but all. May our country and our people continue to be blessed forever.